I mean, I think they wore black for a reason last night, man. It's, that felt amazing. I hate that team so damn much. And I hate their fan base, their loser fan base so much. And I love to hate them all so much. So last night felt fantastic. To take part in helping the rest of the Eastern Conference bury these irrelevant swamp rats from New Jersey. We don't even like them here in New Jersey. We're all Knicks fans anyway. There maybe are 12, 13 Nets fans, and they're all probably under the age of 12. But that felt great. 7 in a row now for the Knicks. I think 9 out of 10 and 27 in 14 since cutting the rotation to 9 in early December. Overall, the Knicks are now 37 and 27 on the season. They are 10 games above 500, 37 and 27. Last season, they finished 37 and 45. So again, they're 37 and 27 right now. Wow. Also, along with this Nets loss came a Miami loss and a Cleveland loss as well. Miami loses to Philly, and Cleveland lost to Boston on ESPN last night. So this puts the Knicks, I believe, 1 back in the loss column for the number 4 Cavs, 2 games up from the number 6 Nets, and 3 games ahead of the number 7 Heat, who we have coming up tomorrow night. And it feels so good to bury those irrelevant losers. Losers who have done nothing. They've won nothing as a franchise. And they were talking all this crap like they had done shit. The one banner you have up in your fake building is the 2002 Atlantic champions. So congratulations. But I mean, again, great win. It's great to continue to bury these irrelevant fucks. Well, now I'm not getting paid. But I mean, again, preseason, we were all talking 9-10 seed about this team. By midseason, we were talking 7-8 seed. And here we are talking 4 or 5 seed. So let's talk about it. Let's get into this Knicks game. The Knicks pulverized the Nets. They murdered the Nets. We'll talk about that. We'll run through a quick little abbreviated version of our progress report 4 months into the season as well. So we'll get to it all. Stay with us. Let's get to our intro. Welcome to BD4, an RJ Carbone podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. BD4 is a 5-star show on Apple Podcasts, also available in video format on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Champion of the world, turning, looking, see ya! Anthony for 3, bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied! Time! Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand.
Yankees win! All right, let's talk. Episode 486 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Welcome to the show. Thank you for stopping by. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, download these episodes, listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can watch the podcast on YouTube and Spotify. You know the deal. Let's talk Knicks, man. Last night they defeated the Brooklyn Nets 142-118. They were absolutely on fire from the start in the first quarter. I mean, the game began with Cam Johnson, who had a nice game, and he's a pretty decent player. He knocks down, he gets a little too much room. He knocks down a couple 3-point balls, but for the Knicks, it was Randall, RJ. We'll talk about Brunson, but especially Grimes knocking down the 3-point shot continuously out the gate. The Knicks go 9 of 11 from the arc in the first quarter, and they go up by 18 points, dropping 47 points to open up the game in the first. The ball movement was flawless. they had 10 assists, not just 10 assists in the first quarter. Only one turnover. Randall was whipping passes to Grimes cross court. We know Clyde loves that so much. And I love how Brunson, he gets the little scare early on when he bumps knees with, I think it was Mikal Bridges. But he not only ends up being okay, he goes out there and he drops 30 points on 12 of 14 shooting in the first two quarters. Second quarter comes. The Knicks are knocking down a few more triples to tie their franchise high. They've got 14 threes made at the half. They go up by 24 points at halftime with 81 points on the night. Third quarter comes. Randall starts off with another three-point ball. And then he's now becoming known as this, I don't want to say notorious, but this it's a trademark that he gets off these hot starts. First quarter and the third quarter, he's always knocking down those threes. But a little past the midway point, the Knicks had already scored 100 points on the night. And that's I don't think they really were threatening. They in basketball, and even if you're down 40, you're bound to make some type of run. So they came, they pulled within 15 maybe in the third quarter. But the Knicks, really, it was over by the fourth quarter. It was all garbage time minutes. You had Trevor Keels come in the last seconds and knock out his first three-pointer, his first NBA points. But the Knicks win 142-118, clobbering the irrelevant Nets in a big game to get them off our backs. It was fun. A lot of contributions once again. That's been a theme lately. A lot of guys are contributing. You had 6 different Knicks in double figures last night. 3 guys over 20 points, and 8 of the 9 men in the rotation shot 45% or better. Brunson finishes with 39 points. He shoots 83%. Randall goes for 21, 8, and 8. Grimes with 22 points on 6 triples. Mitch, 13 and 10. He's taken care of his matchups lately. He looks phenomenal. Great game. Easily the most dominant win of the season for the Knicks. Everything clicked from start to finish. Nothing went wrong. There was no true run by the Nets. This was all Knicks from the get-go. And Dinwiddie last night, the glorified J.R. Smith is what I call him. Shot the ball 3 of 10 for 11 points. So I don't think I heard the guy's name all night. The only time you hear his name is when he's yapping his own mouth. 3-10 for 11 points. I wonder if he's still eager to play this Knicks team again. Somebody ask him. But, he's going to have to wait till next year now. But, again, it's just nuts to me to think that this Knicks team, we were all pretty underwhelmed with most of the year. Not most of the year, most of the preseason and a good chunk of the first half. They have a shot to win 50 games now. I don't know that they'll get to that mark, but I do know that they'll definitely surpass my 41 win prediction. Bearing a pathetic choke job, they'd have to go 3-15 in order to not reach the 41 win mark, which is 500. And I think it's 13-5 to grab the 50 wins. I'm going to say we probably end up around 46, 47. But some would even call that conservative. But that's where I like to stay on that side. Just because it gives you moments like this where you're pleasantly surprised. But let's talk Knicks. Let's get into the specifics here. And we'll head to our first break. Stay with us. Be right back in 15 seconds. Hey guys, so if you are a listener of the podcast often and you want to know where to find me on social media, you can find me on Facebook at BD4. You can find me on Twitter at BD4Pod. And you can also find me on Instagram at RobJCarbone. All right, so welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to episode 486 of the podcast, The Knicks pulverized the Nets. They murder the Nets last night. You could just see it, man. The confidence with this team right now is through the roof. They just look like they know they're going to win out there. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Not in this lackadaisical way. But they're playing with a swagger. Right? Sorry, the screen froze up there. I had to fix this. But they're playing with this swagger. They are. They've got this... Like, they've got things going on. Like, Quickley the other night's going off the backboard to Randall. You know, even a few weeks ago against the Wizards, remember it was Kuzma was talking shit to Randall. Randall comes back and he just torches him. You know, I think Randall was even, I heard on a podcast last night, I missed it live, but I guess Randall, there was a point in the game where he was mocking Mikal Bridges, his celebration. You know, Breen even say last night during the third quarter how the Knicks were getting a little bit fancy with it. You know, Josh Hart was out there making hustle plays, up 25 points in the second half. You know, Obi's making a defensive play to save the ball from going out of bounds, and then you got Quickley throwing up some 35-foot heave just to try and erupt the Garden. And it didn't drop, but who cares, right? It's the arrogance that you love they're playing with right now. Point being, they're having fun. They're winning. They're laughing. They're smiling out there. It's good to see. You even had Brunson, towards the end of the game when he checks out. He walks over to Tibbs, and the Knicks are up 25 points. Tibbs, miserable as ever, right? A typical boomer face he has on. Brunson walks over, he gives him a pound, tries to get him he gets him to crack a smile. I was just cracking up. You could see this team likes Tibbs, man. They have a respect for him. And here comes a little bit of an old man rant, so skip ahead a few minutes if you don't like harsh truths. But I know that it's mainly Zoomers who dislike this guy. Those who are used to being coddled and sucking up to others. But let me tell you a little something about what they call tough love, all right? It's the way I was raised a little bit. More so my parents and their parents, so on. But it's the same thing in competitive sport. It's the way you're supposed to coach a team. Just like with your parents, you don't want them to be your best friends. You want them to be your parents. With coaching, you don't want that guy to be your friend. You want him to be your coach. I always like to contrast Tom Thibodeau and Aaron Boone because there's the difference there. One guy's smacking his players' asses and he's patting them on the head. He sits them down every other day because they need a mental health day or they hurt their pinky. The other guy is going to run you out there every single night for 40 plus minutes unless your leg is broken. And I believe firmly that the latter approach there is certainly the better approach. This whole players friendly thing is such nonsense and such garbage to me. And again, that's all from the generation who grew up pampered. This players friendly league thing, that's new. So you can sit here and cry about minutes and advocate for load management. But have fun getting nowhere with that shit. This is a roster full of 20-year-old players. They're all 20 years old, 20-something years old, right? They're in their 20s. If this were all players well in their 30s, sure. Mid-30s, sure. You can make a case about players playing too many minutes. But please, I'm not going to sit here and complain that Tibbs is being too hard on his players. So not only are the Knicks winning just because of solid talent and whatever, but I think the coaching staff has done a really nice job instilling this discipline into the players. It's the chemistry that this team has developed with each other. They've got a good connection that I've grown to love. And that comes from having a stern leader like Tibbs. And again, I'm not saying he's the guy for the future, but he's the perfect guy to get this franchise back on track. And that is what I think he's done so far, and he's got a chance to keep doing. You know, I love that he's just not all about winning, but he's only about winning, right? I mean, this motherfucker challenged a play last night. He challenged a play with the Knicks up 25 minutes with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He's out there with a piss face on. I mean, he keeps his regulars out there until like 3 minutes left in the game. You laugh, but I love it. And, you know, the load management softies, again, they'll throw a tantrum over it, but man, do I love that shit. It's a winner mentality. It's a stomp on your throat mentality. And I think that's really helped this team develop. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Let's head to break, get back, and we'll talk about the best player on the floor last night, and Jalen Brunson. Stay with us. Be right there. BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. And if you do there, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. You can listen to it on Spotify, but you can also watch the podcast on both Spotify and YouTube. BD4 is available on many other platforms as well. All you got to do is search it up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and much more. Jalen Brunson is getting the game ball amongst the starters last night. He was unbelievable.
Bing bang.
Yeah, I mean, 39 points for Brunson. 15 of 18 shooting. 5 of 6 from 3. 10 of 12 from 2. And 4 of 4 at the line. 5 rebounds, 6 assists. First off, I am sorry. I'm glad I bit my tongue, but I'm going to expose myself a bit here. I was very close to saying it out loud last episode that Brunson needed to get it together, and I was like borderline concerned. I was saving it for a loss, I think. But, I mean, that's just how great he's been. You know, to where 3 underwhelming games gets you thinking crazy like that. So I'm sorry. But, yeah, I mean, he continues to he just gets buckets. He's a bucket getter out there. He's a bucket. And in many different ways. We say it all the time. Last night just continues to, you know, just stepping into the paint, flicking up that floater and taking contact. He's got defenders at his hips when he's coming off screens on the drive. Woo, fuck me. He's got defenders on his hips. You know, he's working those Hartenstein pick and rolls, those Mitchell Robinson pick and rolls. He's pulling up over guys like O'Neal, pulling up for 3-pointers and drilling step backs in the mid-range. And he's out there posting up Dinwiddie, who's no small body. Turnaround jumpers over Bridges. A long wing like him, that's impressive. Using a little bit of iso ball on the outside, but he didn't overdo it. And, speaking of, nailing jumpers over long players like O'Neal, Bridges, and Dinwiddie, kind of been killing that narrative that, if you put the longest wing defender on him, he slows down. Now, defenses are going to continue to do that because that's the best way to try and contain him. But he's done a nice job on him. He's torched Bridges a few times. He's done it to Utah. He's done it to Finney Smith the last time they played the Nets prior to last night. It's crazy. One of my favorite plays last night was late in the third quarter where Brunson took the ball on the break. He's going coast to coast. He sprints through the lane, bulldozing through the defense, probably takes some contact, and then he lays it in for a tough finish over both, I think it was Bridges and Claxton, who were just sandwiching him. It was amazing. It was relentless, just a tough basket. It was his only shot he took in the third quarter. But he was fantastic yet again. And I think that's now 16 30-point games for Jalen Brunson. I wanted that 50 very badly, but he wasn't forcing shots just to get his points in the second half, like a lot of guys would. The Nets started throwing some doubles on him in the third and fourth quarter, so he passed more, and he still scored 10 points in the second half. But that first half was just comedy. I don't even think Melo's 62-point game, I don't even think he was that efficient in the first half. He was really good. He was dominant. But I don't remember him going 12 out of 14 in the first 2 quarters. That might be the most dominant half I've seen from a Knick. I mean, there might be some mellow performances that I remember against the Wizards on national TV. He torched the Wizards in like the first quarter, dropping 25 or something like that. But it's up there. But I want to talk about the offense. Overall, the offense last night, perfect. It was everything that I want it to be in the playoffs. They scored 142 points. They shot 61%, 57% from three, 28 assists. I'm not saying those are the numbers I need. But the ball movement, the pace, the movement off the ball in the half court, the way we were featuring guys like Mitchell Robinson and Quentin Grimes, who don't usually get a lot of reps like that, especially Grimes lately. Even RJ Barrett, I liked what I saw offensively. Solid. But, Mitchell Robinson is now 21 of 22 from the field since returning in 4 games. And he's not only scoring off putbacks and tip-ins lately. He's always going to do that for sure, right? He's got touch around the rim. Even if he's a little further away from the rim, he could score well. Hold on one sec. Got to fix the lighting. All right, we're good. But he had to put back off of a couple misses from Grimes and RJ last night. But when it comes to half-court offense, we've talked about this the last 2 nights too, how he's been featured more often. And last night we saw it again. Another early pick-and-roll action with RJ Barrett. He got that little slick dump-off, that little dump-down pass by Randall, dribbling Royce O'Neal in circles, and he dumps it down to Mitch. He had also, I think it was Josh Hart, feed him from the opposite elbow off an initial Brunson-Robinson pick-and-roll. Mitch rolls, Brunson kicks to Hart, Hart to a cutting Mitch, and then he gets the finish. And I think the more we use Mitchell Robinson, and even Hartenstein, in these pick-and-roll actions, the more it's also going to open up the perimeter, because they've got such gravity that it forces the defense to collapse. We saw it last night on one of the Grimes three-pointers, where you had, it was an initial Brunson-Robinson pick-and-roll action with Grimes in the weak side corner. But it forced, you had Cam Thomas cheating middle. Robinson rolls, Thomas collapses on him, and then Grimes all of a sudden is open for the catch and shoot. So Brunson swings it to him and he knocks it down. It's actions like that. It's going to really help open up the perimeter. The pick and roll is not just about getting you the rim. It's about getting the defense to cheat middle. So the more we do that, I think the more successful Grimes can be. Randall's playmaking even. He was also a big reason for the ball movement last night, the way he was connecting with Grimes. He found him for an assist 5 times last night. Grimes has kind of been the Reggie Bullock to Randall this year. Randall and Reggie used to work that DHO action a lot. Randall's been finding him many different ways. Last night he found him with a few of them, I think 2. And they might have both came in the first quarter. Very impressive, I guess you can call it a skip pass. Those cross-court dimes to Grimes on the opposite side of the floor. But also in like the second half, maybe the third quarter, Randall made a very excellent read on an incoming double team where he kicked it out to Grimes for an elbow 3. And Grimes is going to be the X factor, man. He's going to be one of the 2 X factors. His minutes and his reps have definitely diminished since the Josh Hart acquisition, but on a night where Josh Hart isn't shooting much, last night he only took 3 shots, the Knicks have to look to Grimes. And he's got to knock them down. And he did last night. Grimes got 12 shots up last night. He knocked down 8 of them, was 6 of 9 from 3 specifically, and he scored 22 points. He needed that one badly, and I'm happy he got it. It's going to be him, and it's going to be RJ, who will be relied on to knock down their spot-up looks come the postseason. When he gets his spot-ups, when he gets his shots off, and he's knocking them down, The Knicks do well. It's no question. 3-point shooting wins. We know this. So I looked into it, and after last night, the Knicks are now 12-3 when Grimes knocks down at least 3 triples. They're also 7-1 when he knocks down at least 4 of them. So, get him involved. I also think he needs to be more aggressive sometimes. A lot of times you'll see him pass up a 3-pointer because he's attacking a closeout, looking to drive and kick or maybe even finish. But I say just feed the kid a little more on the outside. And RJ, my other X factor, since returning from the All-Star break, he hasn't been, flashy or spectacular. But honestly, the efficiency is what I like. And that's all I need from RJ in a playoff round. And so far, since returning from break, he's shot 46%, 57% from 3, and he's 80% at the free throw line in 4 games. That is all I need when it comes to RJ. Forget the volume, forget the points total. I do not care. I need RJ Barrett to be efficient, right? Knock down your spot-ups, play downhill, use the pick and roll, finish at the hoop, pick your spots, and just be efficient. That is the key for him offensively. He doesn't need to play over his head and drop 25-30 like the other 2 guys are doing every night. No, the Knicks have the depth to where RJ Barrett can just focus on efficiency. I'll take 15 points on 50% shooting, lower turnover rate, lower usage every single time over 20 points with sub 40% shooting, lousy defense, and extra turnovers. I'll take that. And that goes back to a few nights ago when I brought up that metric about how the Knicks play better and they win more when RJ shoots it less, and he's more efficient. And that's another thing, about the defense. He's been better on that end too. He's been deflecting passes. He's rotating hard to make his closeouts in time. I don't notice any big issues the last couple nights getting over ball screens. Not that I can remember. Early on, I didn't love the defense on Bridges. I thought there were a few blow-bys. Got lost on a cut. But it definitely got better as the game went along. But that's what I need. I need efficiency. In order to succeed in the playoffs, I think RJ and Grimes going to have to start knocking down their looks. And I'm going to be talking, little disclaimer, I guess. I'm going to be talking more and more playoff stuff now that shit's starting to become real with this Knicks team. So just prepare for that, because with higher, with better play come higher standards. But it's going to be RJ, not RJ. It's going to be Randall and Brunson, who are obviously asked to score on all 3 levels like they do. Do their thing, generate contact in the paint, stretch the floor, all that stuff. Randall's going to abuse the inside game. He'll work the mismatches. He'll step outside the perimeter for his off-the-dribble 3-point game that he likes, right? Brunson will ISO, but he's crafty with it. He's elusive on the drive. Destroys that mid-range game with the jumpers or those floaters. You got Mitch as your pick-and-roll screener, glass eater. And then RJ and Grimes, your 3rd and 4th scoring options among the first unit, right? So those 2 guys, RJ, Quentin Grimes, are key. You're going to see double teams when Brunson puts it on the floor, when Randall has his back to the basket. The defense will blitz. They'll trap. You're going to see some zoning, maybe even a little bit. So if they zone, Miami zones a lot. They're coming up tomorrow. That makes moving the ball all that more important, finding the guy in the middle, and of course, knocking down those open looks in the corners. That's how you bust the zone. That's going to be key. Not just ISO ball. That's the absolute worst thing to do when defenses start zoning and blitzing. Quickley, his role, we'll get to his specifics on the night later. He's also going to be key. He as that combo guard who can both play with Brunson and without him. That's going to be pivotal, right? He runs that second unit. He and Josh Hart have developed a great 1-2 game. Because, like Quickley, Josh Hart can also play both on and off the basketball. None of them need the ball. Quickley's obviously the lead guard off the bench, but Hart cuts a lot. He slashes. He sets quick screens. He spots up on those catch and shoots. And that's going to be the recipe for success offensively. And defensively, we've mentioned before how well Hart and Quickley mesh. You know, their ability to defend up and down, both guard, wing, and Hart sometimes power forwards. That gives Tibbs the option to switch everything on those ball screens. It also allows Thibodeau to play smaller units since Hart can rebound so well at 6'4", 6'5", 215. So you've got Quickley, Hart, and Grimes as your primary guard wing defenders, and Mitch as that last line of defense. And that part's so huge because it allows, now that Mitch is back healthy and very effective, it allows the Knick perimeter defenders to gamble. And there's room for mistakes with him at the rim as that kind of that safety valve. If those guys take a risk or get beat in dribble penetration on a closeout or miss a rotation, Mitch is there for the help. Having him healthy, man, it does wonders for this team. And Hartenstein has held his own too. I don't want to exclude him. He's playing the offensive glass well. He's adopted to the drop coverage nicely this month or this last, month and a half or whatever. And he's giving you some offense, some tip-ins, those low post hook shots, floaters, whatever you want to call them, once or twice a night. He's playing well. I'm starting to think ahead, I know, but I can't help it. With the more you see who this team is, it's hard to not think ahead. They keep answering the bell. That last win over Philadelphia was super impressive on that Sunday night ESPN game. They beat Philly twice in 4 games. They beat the Pulp out of Boston the other night. They also took them down 2 times overall in the year, once at full strength. And it was an overtime win in Boston without Mitchell Robinson. So I don't want to hear shit about the whole Jalen Brown garbage. They swooped in and stole the 5th seed from the Nets, reversed the narrative in NYC on the court. The Knicks always have the city support. But they've taken down Cleveland, right? Their first round matchup as of today. They've taken them down 2 times out of 3. The only team on top of the East that they haven't passed the test on yet have been the Bucks. Well, the true test is in the playoffs, but the quiz. And I'm terrified of the Bucks. I think they are a nightmare matchup for the Knicks. But even those last 2 losses against them, they were pretty close. They both came within 6 points. But point being, I wouldn't be shocked if the Knicks went out there tomorrow night and took the win in Miami on their home court in Miami. I wouldn't be shocked. It's going to be tough. I wouldn't be shocked if they went out there and defeated Boston at the TD Garden again. Like, they keep responding. And they beat tough teams. Remember earlier in the season, there was a concern about the Knicks, when they were hovering around 500, not beating decent teams. They were under 500 against decent teams. Now they're very, very solid. All of a sudden, they're 17-11 versus opponents over 500. That's over 600 ball. But I want to talk a little about Josh Hart's defense last night when we returned from break, so stay with us. Be right back. We also have a website now for BD4. If you go to BD4blog.com, you can find the blog, the podcast links, and also where to find me on social media. Just go to BD4blog.com. I'm getting really hungry. I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. Josh Hart was great last night. He only scored 4 points, but there was a reason he led in plus-minus. 2 of 3 shooting, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, a block, and a plus 30. Great defense. Great passing. Some driving kick in transition. It may have been his first game as a Knick where he didn't knock down a 3, and probably his first game where he didn't shoot at least 50% from there. But none of that mattered because his defense, once again, just all over the place in a good way. The block he had on Dinwiddie, pulling up for the mid-range jumper in the second quarter, was beautiful. His first steal comes at the very end of the third quarter when RJ forces a turnover on Bridges. Hart jumps on it, runs the break with Randall. Randall's the trailer. Hart makes the assist to Randall. And another one just minutes later, early fourth quarter. Cam Thomas misses the three up top. Hart's battling for the loose ball with Sharp on the baseline. Comes up with it before he falls out of bounds. Throws the ball free to Obi. And again, that was with like a 25-point lead. So, unbelievable defense from him. Immanuel Quickley, I'm going to give him the game ball off the bench, though. For sure.
Bing bang.
I think Quickley, just keeps doing his thing. 15 points, 6 of 12 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, couple assists, 3 rebounds. He just keeps doing his thing. That's all we need to know. 31 games out of 33 now in double figures. It's just great that that's become a norm for him. Again, just great off the dribble. You're seeing a lot more offense being created between he and Hartenstein lately. Some give-and-go actions last night. The defense remains super consistent, closing out hard on shooters. He's pressuring the ball in 1v1. He's grabbing rebounds, keeping his head up on the break, pushing the pace. Love it. So, good win last night, man. Quickley was fantastic. Brunson was even more fantastic. The Knicks as a team looked very sharp. And we'll wrap this up with we'll run through the progress reports, just, give out some grades, and that'll be that. So let's head to our final break, get to our progress reports when we return, and then after that, we'll wrap it up with our trivia. Stay with us. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. Yeah, I just realized we were muted there, so I'm going to have to cut that out. But, damn, that sucks. Now I have to find out where I was when I started talking with a muted mic. Gotta find my notes here. All right. Oh, progress reports. All right. So if you are new here, we run through these progress reports. I would say, no, I wouldn't say it. We do run through these progress reports once a month. The way it works is I grade every player in the rotation, and then at the end I grade the Knicks as a team. And most importantly, you have to know that these grades are all relative to expectation. So not every player is going to be graded on the same scale. If player 1 receives an A+, and player 2 receives a B+, it doesn't exactly mean that player 1 has been better than player 2. It just means that player 1 has reached his expectation more than player 2 has, if that makes sense. So with that said, we're going to run through these, sprint through them real quick. I gave Jalen Brunson an A. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Quentin Grimes gets a C+. I think he's been a little bit underwhelming this season, but he's coming off the great game. RJ Barrett gets a C. I also think he's been very underwhelming. Randall gets an A-. He's been a tad worse than Brunson, but very good. Mitch gets a B+. I would have him in the A category if he didn't miss significant time. Quickley, giving him an A-. He's been phenomenally consistent, if that's even a word. Josh Hart gets an A. I mean, he's been perfect since coming over to the Knicks. Obi Toppin gets a C. Isaiah Hartenstein gets a C+. He's, steadily been improving as a Knick. Started out giving him D's, and he's adopted and he's learning his role in this team. He's fitting in with the system nicely. And then the Knicks, as a unit, I'm giving them a B+. I think they've been very good. I'm saving the A- for if we get that 4th seed, but we'll see. I want that home court advantage. But the Knicks get a B+. Anyways, great win. This Knicks team is getting hot at a perfect time. Miami will be tough, but, they're always tough at their home court. Look, I asked for the Knicks to go 3-2 on this 5-game stretch, and they are so far 3-0. So let's keep winning. We will get to our question of the day, our trivia, and our parlay as well to wrap this up. So let's get to that right now. All right, welcome to RJ's Parlay, where my degenerate self breaks down tonight's big parlay. If I miss, it's not surprising. If I hit, I'll probably lose it all tomorrow night because that's how this works. Welcome to RJ's Parlay. Now, this parlay is actually for tonight's Sixers-Dallas game on TNT. I've got a 6-pick parlay at plus 205 odds. I've got the Phillies covering the plus 10.5 alternative spread. I've got the alternative over-under at 214.5. I picked the over on that. I've got Harden going for 15 and 8, at least, points, rebounds. I've got Irving scoring at least 20, and I've got Luka Doncic 25-plus points. That's at plus 205. So hopefully we hit this one. I like to stay conservative. I like the... I know a lot of people like the home run parlays, crazy odds. I like the ones that are, giving you a decent chance to win. So that's our trivia. Let's wrap it up with, that's our parlay. Let's wrap it up with tonight's trivia. All right. So, for episode 486, our NYY-NYK-MMA trivia question of the day is, what year was it the last time the Knicks and Nets combined for less than 200 points in a game together? All right. I'm gonna repeat it one last time. What year was it the last time the Knicks and Nets combined for less than 200 points in a game together? And that's it, fellas. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Episode 486 is in the books. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go eat. Go Knicks. I'll see you in the next episode. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.